Gentlemen, we are now officially about 1 month behind every other class at SIS. We are so slow. Every other teacher's making fun of me because I haven't been able to keep pace because we've been spending so much time on algebra. So we have to finish algebra this week. We're going to go through our practice test today. Tomorrow is your actual test. And you can use this tonight if you want to study again for questions you're having difficulty with. This is all the questions. Our first question gives us a one-step algebraic equation, 4x equals 3/5. To solve it, we know we have to divide by 4, but because this is a fraction, it's important that you write your division by 4 like that. It's important that you realize that 4x's divided into 4 groups is just 1x. And the algorithm for solving a fraction division is keep your first fraction, change to multiplication, use reciprocal. Therefore, your answer for the first question is x has a value of 3/20. Our second question gives us a fifth of x is equal to 3/8. We know our operation is to multiply by 5 and to multiply by 5. A fifth of x multiplied by 5 gives you a full x, and 3/8 multiplied by 5 gives you 15/8. Remember, if you leave it as an improper fraction, it makes your math teacher's hair fall out. In which case, as a mixed fraction, it's 1 and 7/8. Make sure you convert it back to mixed fractions. Our next question involves fractional coefficients. So we have x divided by 2.2 equals 4.4. You are allowed to use calculators for this. So as a result, you're going to multiply. And I know you're all being respectfully quiet as we go through this. Thank you very much. Times 2.2 equals 10.648. Terminating decimal, so it's exactly equal to 10.648. Next question. The only difference is we have a variable on the other side, but our operation is still the same. We're going to divide by the coefficient. X will equal 4.9 divided by 0.28, 17.5. Next question is a tricky question. It will appear in your test, so pay attention. If your variable is in the denominator, we've said before, it's actually a two-step question, even though it looks like a one-step question. Step 1 is to multiply both sides by x to create an equation where x, 0.5 is your coefficient. Divide by 1/2. Now I could do this in my head. Can anyone else do this in their head? Yeah. $8.25 divided into piles of 50 cents. You could make 16.5 piles, correct? If you have $8.25 divided into piles of 50 cents, you can make 16.5 piles, which is what that's going to be. Don't automatically grab your calculator. Do a little bit of thinking with division. See if you can reason it out, or at least estimate. Question 6, we start getting into our two-step algebraic equations. There are two ways to do this. Madeline, because you have more than one fraction, it is possible to do what to both sides? Multiply both sides by a common multiple. Do you think that's necessary for this question? No, you're looking at it going, I think I can handle this one. So I'm simply going to subtract a quarter from both sides. I don't need to multiply both sides by a common multiple. Use your common denominator. Use your equivalent fractions. 8/12, 3/12. 5x is equal to 5/12, and now we have a question we just did just a second ago. Divide by 5, which is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. Oops, my ink went all long here. There we go. And therefore, we end up with cross reduction. Your answer will be either 5/60 if you didn't cross reduce, but if you did cross reduce, you got 1/12 because 5/60 in lowest terms is 1/12. Question 7, we get into more fractions. Now for this one, it might be valuable to multiply both sides by a common multiple. Did anyone here, for question 7, multiply both sides by 10? What did you do? What? Correct. That was the first part of my question. What was the first word in my question? My question was, how many of you multiplied both sides by 10? How many of you subtracted 1/2 from both sides? Both are logical ways to do it. Depending on what you want to do, I'm going to multiply both sides by 10, just because we did say if there's more than one fraction, it's easy. Because this side is a binomial, and because I'm multiplying the side by 10, it requires distributive property. Am I hearing things, or are people talking over top of me? It's not voices in my head, is it? Is it? Okay. Now, if you decide to multiply both sides by 10, make sure you write out everything you're multiplying by 10 like that. It's very important, especially for those of you who don't quite have perfect skills yet. It's important you write that down. If you didn't cross-reduce, you got 10 over 2, which is 5, if you didn't cross-reduce. If you did cross-reduce, you still got 5. If you didn't cross-reduce, you got negative 20 over 5x. But if you did cross-reduce, you got negative 4x. This still would have been negative 4x anyway. And if you cross-reduce this, you end up with equals 9. So by multiplying both sides by a common multiple of 10, you... Did I get a different answer? Did I get a wrong answer? Did I do something wrong? Yeah. Where did I make a mistake? No. I didn't make a mistake. Bob, did I make a mistake? No, you didn't. Thank you, Bob. Hey. You just watch. Well, we're not. Am I done in my question yet? No! Subtract 5 from both sides. Boom. Negative 4x equals 4. I didn't say my answer was 9. I said that's what you divide both sides by negative 4. And the value of x is negative 1. Oh my God, you thought I was done when I got to this? You thought that was the solution? Have you ever done an algebra question before? Do you think that's the answer? Oh my God. Oh, thank you. The answer is x is a value of negative 1. No, I know you weren't. That's what makes it scary. Question 8, much easier because we have no fractions. In order to solve this question, it's very important that you know that 5.1 is your constant and 2.5 is your coefficient. When you have a two-step algebraic equation, get rid of your constant first. Subtract 5.1 from both sides. There it goes. Let's take this again. 2.5x is equal to. Don't grab your calculator right away. Think this through with a little bit of arithmetic. You have a dime, you owe $5.10, you pay off with the dime a little bit of your debt, you still owe $5. Divide both sides by the coefficient, and x will equal negative 2. Question 9, two-step algebraic equation. Subtract your constant from both sides. X divided by 1.2 equals negative 4.8. Multiply both sides by 1.2. And x will equal, can I do this in my head? 9.6. Negative 5.76. Yes. Is that right? Yeah. Oh, look at the big, that's not right? You were wrong. I thought I was wrong, but I was wrong. Oh, stop it. Question 10. Variable is on your right this time. This is your constant, this is your coefficient. Get rid of your constant first. 7 equals negative 1.5x. Divide both sides by your coefficient of negative 1.5. A lot of people forget about this. And then 7 divided by 1.5 equals 4.6 repeating. Is that right? Negative 4.6 repeating. 11 is our distributive property question. Two ways to solve it. I'll write both here. You could expand, which a lot of you do. Negative 5.5 equals half x plus 2, if you multiply that with distributive property. Subtract 2 from both sides. You get this. Divide both sides by the coefficient. Don't grab your calculator. Think it out. You have $7.50 divided into pounds of 50 cents. You can make exactly negative 15 pounds. That's if you expand it with distributive property. If you divide it first, instead of having a quarter of this group, by dividing by a quarter on both sides, you will have one group of this. $5.50 divided into quarters, you can make 22 piles, I believe. At which point you can divide both sides by, or subtract the constant from both sides. Negative 30 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2. You still get the same answer of x has a value of negative 50. Just out of curiosity, how many did it this way? You don't know, bro? How many did it this way? How many didn't do it? Because there was only 6 hands up for all. Let's try again. How many did it this way? Expansion. Okay. How many did it with division first? Okay. Gotcha. Question 12. 2 ways to solve it. Did anyone multiply both sides by 6? Okay. Did anyone multiply both sides by 3? I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 because that's what I would do in this one. But we'll see both ways anyway. I said you could do either way. If you multiplied by 3, that's what it looks like, doesn't it? It becomes x plus 4 is equal to negative 1/2, or negative 3 over 6, which is still negative 1/2. And then if you subtract 4 from both sides, x will equal negative 4 1/2. So if you did it that way, that's what you got for an answer. If you multiplied both sides by 6, this side by 6 and this side by 6, you ended up cross-reducing to get 2, which became, because this is a monomial and a binomial, you have to multiply the tops of your fractions, you're going to end up with 2x plus 8 because you need to use distributive property equals cross-reduce, negative 1. 2x equals negative 9 when you subtract 8 from both sides. And x will still equal negative 4 1/2 when you divide both sides by 2. All right. Question 13, fractions again. How many multiplied both sides by 10? How many multiplied both sides by 5? Either way works. I'm going to multiply both sides by 10 because I want to show you what happens here. This side by 10 and this side by 10. 1/2 multiplied by 10 without cross reduction, you should know that if you take 1/2 of something, Joseph, and multiply it by 10, you get 5. You should know that. But if you cross reduce, you still got 5. When you cross reduce this, here's where it gets confusing for people. This is 2 times 2 times x minus 3, or 2 times 2 times x minus 3. In truth, 2 times 2 times x minus 3 is the same thing as 4 times x minus 3, which is the same thing as 4x minus 12 when you expand. So it's important that even though you cross-reduce, you still have a 2 and a 2 and an x minus 3, and multiplying them together kind of looks like that, meaning you'll have 4x minus 12. Add 12 to both sides, you get 17 equals 4x. Divide both sides by 4, and x equals, as an improper fraction, this, and as a mixed fraction, 4 1/4. Any questions on that one? Are we okay with that? Bob, does that make sense? The cross reduction does, this part here, I think, messes up a few people. Just remember it looks like this, which looks like this, which becomes this. Think that one through, you shouldn't have any problem. Actually, let's try one. Question 14, so simple, I don't even know why I asked. This is a grade 8. Oh, no, it's variables on both sides. You could do either way. The secret, Morgan, was when you have variables on both sides, get rid of it on the side you have the most, or the least, excuse me, which means I'm going to get rid of the 5x, negative 5x, by adding 5x. 0 pair. And once you have that, divide both sides by 7. X equals negative 4 over 7, which is equal to approximately, repeating decimal, the actual number, if you had a big enough calculator, is that 571428. 571428 decimal equals x. Bar above all of that, that's what it equals exactly. If you wanted to round it, you could say probably a couple decimal places would be good. Make sure you use approximately equal to. 0.571 would be good. Either way. And question 15 is your last question using distributive property and variables on both sides. Expand 2x minus 2 equals x plus 2.5. Subtract x from both sides to get the variable on just one side, which would be x minus 2 equals 2.5. Add 2 to both sides, and you have your solution of x equals